it is. The greatest advance in television since color television itself. See all color shows in living color. Once you've adjusted fine-tuning for each channel.
So there we see that it means that you can subdue a people. You can control a people by secret influence. That goes on to say under charm, to subdue by secret power, especially by that which pleases and delights the mind. So under charm there it says power to subdue opposition and gain the affections. But remember in the story of Wizard of Oz, how the Wicked Witch was having difficulty subduing her opponent. And finally she said, I know what I shall do. I take this crystal ball. She spreads her hands across the crystal ball and she creates a lovely poppy field. Oh, so beautiful. And Dorothy, the lion, the scarecrow, the Tin Man, going across this lovely poppy field, fall to what? Sleep. Is it possible that that's not just story? Is it possible that the crystal ball sits in the living room of every home practically in America?
Are you changing us in our society for the better? Does it empower all of us, like it claims to? Or does it only empower a select few at the expense of the many? What's the price we pay to live in this pervasive electronic world? This era is unprecedented, and perhaps never before has technology been so prolific and shaped our lives so intimately. The me has been a target of corporate power for a long time. Advertising after the Second World War changed into instilling desires and manipulating the masses to want things and see the world in a certain way.
Saw it through
without exemption.
I planned each charted course,
Each careful step.
Along the highway.
And more. Much more than this.
I did it my way.
Well, it doesn't really matter who gets the ticket because anybody could be a better president than President Bush at this point. And let's focus on just a Democrat winning in 2008 and put aside everything.
But that's not the question. I said, who would, if you had to pick somebody?
I'm sorry, what?
If you had to pick somebody, who would you pick?
I'd pick a Democrat. Well, let's face it, I mean, all of the college Democrats, you know, we're still behind just winning a Democrat in 2008. It's time for the Democrat to win. Let's focus on that first.
If I were the devil. If I were the devil. If I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. Thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington.
It was a joint decision. We thought it was important to think through ahead of time how we would dispose of the body if he were killed in the compound. And I think that what we tried to do was consulting with experts in Islamic law and ritual to find something that was appropriate, that was respectful of the body. Frankly, we took more care on this than obviously bin Laden took when he killed 3,000 people. He didn't have much regard for how they were treated and desecrated. But that, again, is something that makes us different. And I think we handled it appropriately.
There's a guy on the radio who apparently Trump's on his show frequently. He said, me and Hillary are demons. Said we smell like sulfur. Ain't that something?
She's as crooked as they come.
He is becoming ISIS's best recruiter.
In one way, she's a monster.
You could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
But he made a deal with the devil. She's the devil.
And that's making this election cycle feel a lot less like this.
Democracy in a big, diverse country doesn't work if you constantly demonize each other.
And a lot more like this.
Tell me, what do you do with witches?
I don't care if you think I'm Satan reincarnated. The fact is, you can't look at that television and say, nothing happened on the 6th.
There is no substitute for victory. They are the greatest soldiers on earth.
And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door.
But I also got to say this. I think that the Democrats have an opportunity right now to come forward and seize this opportunity. But I think so many of them are concerned about getting votes that they're trying to see which way is going to go before they come out and take a political stand.
They're all trying to reinvent themselves. None of them have any core beliefs. There is nothing you can depend on. This is like George W. Bush running in 2000 for a more modest foreign policy. There is nothing any of them believe in other than trying to get a monopoly on some kind of power in Washington.
All right, God save the Queen, man.
Look, Liz, the White House has come to Biden's defense and they've said that he was merely commenting to someone in the crowd.
Oh, right.
It's a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
It is. I mean, his gaffes are just piling up. Also this week, he promised to conserve the America's water and land mass by 30% by 2020. So that's remarkable. He's going to do it retrospectively. He also said that they were planning to build a train across the Pacific to the Indian Ocean. Again, I'd like to see that happen. And he literally finishes that statement by being like, oh, I'm going off script here. And we're all like, yeah, we know. That doesn't make any sense. It's actually getting sadder and sadder to see him try and carry out. I mean, he attended her funeral. We know that he knows she passed away. And that's a very likely story from the presser at the White House.
This might seem like I'm just finding ways to sort of bail out Biden. I'm not. My fear here is that I think every now and then we have to burst our own bubble just ever so slightly, which was, remember when George W. Bush was in the White House and who could ever vote for this guy who can't finish a sentence? The problem is that do I think 80 million people love Joe Biden? Hell no. Do I think 80 million people hate Donald Trump? Probably. Have any of them changed their mind in the past 4 years? Which is why you get this absurdity of American elections. There's 300 million people. I love that country. Going to Vegas in a few weeks' time, you know, just for a study tour, of course. When you look at that country, you see the problems of the homelessness, you see the problems of mental health, you see the problems of crime, all the rest of it, right?
Yeah.
But their politics doesn't talk about it. Instead, it's about he's destroying democracy and he can't finish a sentence.
If we don't stop extending our troops all around the world in nation-building missions, then we're going to have a serious problem coming down the road, and I'm going to prevent that.
You know, these people sell off a little bit of themselves each time they stick out their hand and they agree to do something for somebody to collect the money. And by the time they're in office, there's nothing left. No wonder they have no core beliefs. Slice by slice by slice, they sell themselves away. Hillary is no different. We are faced with a really, really tough challenge of people here that want to expand the war, continue to ruin brand name America, and decapitalize this country.
Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle.
And I think it's time the American people wake up to the whole bunch of them, the R's and the D's alike.
Had my judgment prevailed back in 2002, we wouldn't be in this predicament. I was opposed to this war from the start and have been opposed to this war consistently. But I have also said that there are no good options now. There are bad options and worse options.
Let me just tell you, I think Obama has given himself too much credit for his opposition to the war. It was very convenient for him to say that he opposed it before he was elected. But since he has been a United States Senator, he has fallen right in line on every vote to continue the war, authorize the war. His voting record on the war is identical to Hillary Clinton's. It's not as though there was ever a proposal to strand those Americans halfway around the world and leave them, but the war needs to be stepped down and defunded, and he hasn't done anything to get it done.
4 of these people here will say that it's George Bush's war. It was facilitated by the Democrats. They brought the resolution up. One of them co-authored it here, standing here, and so it's sure it's George Bush's war, but it's the Democrats' war also. There's information coming out. Senator Durbin, Mr. Strum in his book, that really points out that these people knew that there was 2 sets of intelligence going on at the same time. And they made a political decision to vote the way they voted. A political decision that cost, stop and think, we have killed more Americans than was done on the 11th of September.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Ladies and gentlemen, our takeover of General Motors is complete.
Dr. Abel, GM's Ultium platform will power our whole operation.
Now we can reduce tailpipe emissions.
Oh, please, cheer.
For my son.
Your son? I shall name him Baby Me.
No, his name is Kyle.
Ow!
You must help save the world first.
Then you can take over that world. Hold on, I've got it. I will help save the world first. then take over the world.
She literally just said that.
Scott, you just don't get it, do you?
What?
You don't get it.
We're right back
and
here.
You're never gonna get
you can't draw me into these little... You act like a child. You can't push my buttons anymore.
Oh! We'll reduce our carbon footprint.
Okay, let's go. We're going all electric.
Everybody in!
Not you, Scott. Bye-bye, baby me.
What'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich.
And it's been a mystery for 3 months who won the biggest Powerball jackpot in history. And now we have the answer to the $2 billion question.
Lotto mystery solved.
The name of the person who was the only player to match all 6 numbers of the historic Powerball drawing last November is Edwin Castro.
Edwin Castro is the sole winner of the $2.04 billion jackpot, the largest in Powerball history. We've been waiting 3 months for this Lotto mystery to be solved.
$2.04 billion.
Your knowledge of the future to play the stock market. We could make trillions.
Why make trillions when we could make billions?
The ticket was sold in November here at Joe's Service Center in Altadena, California. Edwin Castro is taking the single lump sum. Officials read a statement from the lucky man who declined to appear at the announcement.
I am shocked and ecstatic to have won the Powerball drawing.
More Americans died because of their decision.
And you now say there are 2 parties in Congress right now, big government conservatives and big government liberals, and the only difference is what they want to spend money on.
So I would say that in some ways, yes, they have some differences, but in other ways, I think Republicans have grown to act just like Democrats.
And I have my suspicion that whether Democrats or Republicans, they're not going to get out of Iraq even after the election. I don't care who's elected. We went in there for the control of oil. This was an oil war by George Bush. The Democrats bought into it in the Congress, and you think that they're going to give up this control of oil?
I gotta warn you, Clark, they don't play the same games here as they do at them regular casinos.
Eddie, this place is great. They don't have any of these games at the Mirage. Pick a number. I'm great at that. Coin toss. Eddie, these are my games.
Will you pledge that by January 2013, the end of your first term, more than 5 years from now, there will be no U.S. troops in Iraq? I think it's hard to project 4 years from now, and I think it would be irresponsible. We don't know what contingency will be out there. What I can promise is that I will drastically reduce our presence there to the mission of protecting our embassy, protecting our civilians, and making sure that we're carrying out counterterrorism activities there.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
President Eisenhower was absolutely right, and he understood.
Think about it. If the war was a money loser for Wall Street, would we still be at war?
It was the first time in modern history
very significant moment on the world stage
that an American president went into a war zone not controlled by the United States.
A nearly 40-hour journey in and out of Ukraine.
President Biden left Washington, D.C. at 4 a.m. on Sunday. He landed in eastern Poland and then took a 9.5-hour train to Kyiv.
He entered Ukraine under the cover of night. And in the morning, Joe Biden walked shoulder to shoulder with our allies in the war-torn streets, standing up for democracy in a place where a tyrant is waging war to take it away.
Air raid sirens blared as the two men walked together.
In the middle of a war zone, Joe Biden showed the world what America is made of. That's the quiet strength of a true leader who doesn't back down to a dictator. Biden, President.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Give me $20. War. You know, Russ and I play this all the time. I'm in.
There we go. The brutality of Hamas, these bloodthirstiness brings to mind the worst rampages of ISIS. This is terrorism. But sadly, for the Jewish people, it's not new. So in this moment, we must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel.
All right.
Oh, that's fast.
Give me another 2080.
War, bet again.
7-9, this is 853. Requesting course correction, 15 degrees south. Please confirm.
This is 7-9, course confirmed.
9-2 to base. Requesting clearance for takeoff. 9-2, you're cleared for takeoff.
9-2, commencing takeoff.
9-2, runway 7 left. Cleared for immediate takeoff. 3-1, hostiles approaching.
Copy. I've got visual on enemy vehicles.
3-1, take out enemy targets.
Roger that.
Delta 3, watch out. Armored vehicle at 1 o'clock. I repeat. Retreat, fall back.
Tower, this is Delta 3. We have men down. Requesting air support.
Visual on 5 to 10 hostiles. 30 yards ahead. Moving to the right. Moving to new position. Hostiles at 11 o'clock. We have contact. Engaging target.
In my sight.
Go. Head right.
We got casualties. Up there. Second floor.
Tower, this is Foxtrot. We're surrounded. Requesting immediate backup. We won't last long.
Target spotted. Fire!
Tango down!
Target locked. All team, guys!
Well, Clark, maybe you ought to spread it around a little bit, you know, not have all your fun at just one table.
I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
Everyone belongs to everyone else. We're never alone here. Everyone's connected.
You know, I've been watching you people.
But this place is so perfect. Why is it upside down?
There's a disruption.
I just can't seem to get back to myself.
A virus enters a cell, turning the body against itself. We need to stop this before this goes too far. We're at the beginning of something. Something necessary. If you're not happy, you're nothing at all.